The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor of the Eco Hotel ballroom, silencing 200 guests mid-celebration. Chioma Okonkwo stood frozen, her Vera Wang gown pooling around her feet, staring at her husband Emeka locked in a passionate embrace with her own younger sister, Adiz, behind the velvet curtain of the stage where they'd just renewed their wedding vows. What would you do if you walked in on this? Hit like if you've been betrayed, and comment below where you're watching from. Emeka? Chioma's voice came out as a whisper, though her heart screamed loud enough to wake the dead. Her husband of 12 years pulled away from Adiz, lipstick smeared across his jaw, eyes wide with the panic of a man caught red-handed. Adiz, 26 to Chioma's 38, didn't even have the decency to look ashamed. She adjusted her dress and smiled. Sister, it's not, Adiz started. Don't you dare call me that. Chioma's voice gained strength, drawing the attention of nearby guests. The live band stuttered to a stop. Lagos society held its collective breath. This wasn't supposed to be her story. Chioma Okonkwo, CEO of Okonkwo Corp., one of Nigeria's most successful real estate empires, didn't get cheated on. She was the woman other women envied, beautiful, brilliant, and married to Emeka Okonkwo, whose family owned half of Victoria Island. Together, they were Nigerian royalty. But apparently, even queens could be betrayed. 3 months earlier, everything had seemed perfect. Chioma had stood in her glass-walled office overlooking Lagos Harbor, reviewing the final contracts for her biggest development yet, a luxury residential complex in Lekki. Her phone had buzzed with a message from Emeka, working late again. Don't wait up. She'd believed him then. She'd believed him the 20 times before that. While she was building an empire, he was building a relationship with her sister. Adiz had moved in with them 6 months ago after dropping out of university for the 3rd time. Chioma had welcomed her, paid her bills, bought her clothes, treated her like the daughter she and Emeka had never been able to have. 7 years of trying, 3 miscarriages, and countless nights of quiet grief. Chioma woke up in an unfamiliar bed, sunlight streaming through torn curtains. Her head pounded, and her designer gown was crumpled on a dirty floor. Next to her, Chidi Mbenifo slept peacefully, and with a sickening lurch, Chioma remembered everything. The bottle of whiskey she'd bought from a nearby bar. Chidi's small room in a decrepit building in Ajigunle. His stories of how his family's fortune had vanished overnight, how depression had consumed him, how he'd ended up on Lagos's streets. Her own tears and rage pouring out like a broken dam. And then she'd kissed him. Or had he kissed her? The details blurred together in a haze of alcohol and revenge and desperate need to feel wanted again. Oh God, Chioma whispered, sitting up. What have I done? Chidi stirred, his eyes opening. In the morning light, she could see traces of the boy she'd once loved, before Emeka, before money changed her, before everything became about status and success. You're awake, he said quietly. I thought maybe you disappeared like a dream. Chioma stood, searching for her shoes. This was a mistake. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have. Used me to get back at your husband? Chidi's voice held no judgment, only sad understanding. I know what happened, Chioma. The whole city knows by now. He pulled out a phone, old and cracked, but functional, and showed her the headlines: Billionaire marriage implodes at vow renewal. Okonkwo heir caught with wife's sister. The photos were everywhere, Emeka and Adiz embracing, Chioma's face frozen in shock, the champagne glass shattering. Nigerian social media had exploded. Hashtag Chioma deserves better was trending alongside hashtag SisterWivesLagos and hashtag Okonkwo scandal. Think pieces about marriage, betrayal, and women's empowerment flooded her timeline. Her phone had 63 missed calls from her mother, 20 from her lawyer, and 1 from Emeka that made her stomach turn. We need to talk about the company. I have to go, Chioma said, pulling on her shoes. She pulled out her wallet and began counting bills. I don't want your money, Chidi said firmly. Not for this. Then what do you want? He looked at her with those honest eyes that had first captured her heart 20 years ago. I want you to remember that she's playing the victim, claiming you were a cold, career-obsessed wife who pushed Emeka away. Chioma read the interview, each word a fresh wound. My sister forgot how to be a wife. She loved her company more than her husband. When Emeka needed comfort, when he needed love, I was there. We never meant to hurt anyone, but love doesn't ask permission. The comment section was split. Half sympathized with Chioma, calling out Adiz's betrayal. The other half echoed old patriarchal values: a woman must take care of her home first. No wonder he strayed. Career women always lose their marriages. I'm going to be sick, Chioma whispered. There's more, Ngozi said gently. Emeka's filing for full ownership of Okonkwo Corp based on the morality clause, citing your conduct as bringing disrepute to the company. He's also moving forward with Adiz publicly. They did a photo shoot for This Day Style this morning. She showed Chioma the photos, Emeka and Adiz in matching white outfits, her pregnant belly prominent, both smiling like they'd won the lottery. The headline read, "Love Finds a Way, Emeka Okonkwo and Adiz Nwosu Talk New Beginnings." Chioma's hands shook. "He's erasing me. Like I never existed." "He's trying to," Ngozi agreed. "But here's what we're going to do. We fight back. We expose every shady business deal, every bribe, every shortcut the Okonkwo family has ever taken. We show that Emeka contributed nothing to Okonkwo Corp's success. We prove that you are the company." "And the photos of me with Chidi?" Ngozi sighed. "Did you sleep with him?" "Yes." "Then we minimize. Old friend, moment of weakness, seeking comfort after trauma. We make you human, sympathetic." "But Chioma, this is going to get ugly. Are you ready for war?" Chioma thought of Emeka's smug face, Adiz's betrayal, and the company she'd built with her own blood and tears. "Yes," she said. The marriage certificate was real. Ngozi verified it within an hour. Emeka Okonkwo and Yetunde Adeyemi, married at Chelsea Registry Office, March 2010, 3 years before Chioma's own wedding. No divorce decree existed in any British or Nigerian court. "I was a student at Imperial College," Yetunde explained, sipping wine in Ngozi's conference room where they'd retreated after Terra culture. "Emeka was doing his MBA at London Business School. We met at a Nigerian Students' Association event. The romance was whirlwind. He proposed after 3 months." Chioma listened, numb. Every detail Yetunde shared mirrored her own story: the lavish proposal, the promises of forever, the fairy tale that turned into a nightmare. "What happened?" Chioma asked. "I got pregnant." Suddenly, Emeka changed. "He said his family would never accept our child, that I'd trapped him, that our marriage was a mistake." Yetunde's voice hardened. "He emptied our joint account, money I'd saved from my engineering job, and disappeared back to Nigeria. I was 6 months pregnant, broke, and abandoned." "You have a child?" "A daughter. Temi. She's 13 now." Yetunde pulled out her phone, showing a photo of a beautiful teenager with Emeka's unmistakable eyes. "She's never met her father. He's never paid a kobo in child support. He simply erased us and started over." Ngozi leaned forward. "Why come forward now?" "Because I saw the news about you and Adiz. I saw him playing the victim again, painting another woman as the villain while he walks away clean. When I saw your face in those photos, the same shock, the same devastation I felt, I knew I had to stop him." Chioma's mind raced. "If our marriage was never legal, then he has no legal claim to Okonkwo Corp," Ngozi finished, excitement in her voice. "The partnership agreement is void. Everything you built is yours." "But there's more," Yetunde said. "I hired a private investigator after seeing the scandal. Emeka's been running a scheme through Okonkwo Corp's accounts. He's been siphoning money to offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, millions of naira over the years. I have bank statements, transfer records, everything." She slid a USB drive across the table. "He's been stealing from you, Chioma. Using your company to launder money for his family's political connections. The developments you thought were struggling? They were profitable. Emeka just hid the revenue." Rage, pure and white-hot, flooded through Chioma. While she'd worked herself to exhaustion, Emeka had been stealing her success, her money, her future. The affair with Adiz was just the surface of his betrayal. "We go to the police," Chioma said. "No," Ngozi countered. "We go public first. Tomorrow morning, we call a press conference. We reveal everything, the big... Our marriage was never annulled, never dissolved," Yetunde said clearly. "Which means Emeka's marriage to Chioma was bigamy. It was never legal." Chioma continued, "For 12 years, I built Okonkwo Corp from nothing. Every development, every contract, every success, mine. But Emeka Okonkwo embezzled millions from the company, hiding profits in offshore accounts while I worked myself to exhaustion." She nodded to Ngozi, who distributed USB drives containing all the evidence to the journalists. "You'll find bank statements, transfer records, and communications proving systematic theft. You'll also find that many of the struggling projects Okonkwo Corp was supposedly managing were actually highly profitable. The profits simply disappeared into Emeka's private accounts." The questions started immediately, a cacophony of voices demanding answers. But Chioma only had eyes for Emeka, who was pushing through the crowd toward the stage, his face twisted with rage. "You bitch," he shouted, forgetting the cameras. "You're lying. This is slander. I'll sue you for everything." "With what?" Chioma asked coldly. "The money you stole from me? The company that was never legally yours? Sue me, Emeka. I welcome it. Discovery will be very interesting." Chief Okonkwo grabbed his son's arm, pulling him back, but the damage was done. Every camera had captured Emeka's outburst, his rage, his guilt written across his face. One more thing, Chioma said. The private hospital in Ikoyi gleamed with sterile efficiency, but Chioma felt nothing but dread as she pushed through the entrance. Ngozi had advised against coming. It could be a trap, she'd warned, but guilt was a powerful force, stronger even than rage. Adiz was in a private suite on the 3rd floor, surrounded by the Okonkwo family's considerable presence. Chief Okonkwo blocked the doorway when he saw Chioma approach. "You have some nerve showing your face here," he growled. "How is she?" Chioma asked, trying to peer around him. "Bleeding. High blood pressure. The doctors say she might lose the baby. Are you satisfied? Is this the revenge you wanted?" Before Chioma could respond, Adiz's voice called weakly from inside, "Let her in, Chief. I want to see my sister." Chief Okonkwo stepped aside reluctantly. Inside, Adiz lay in bed, monitors beeping steadily, and 4-line running into her arm. She looked young and frightened, barely more than the child Chioma had raised after their father's death. Emeka sat beside the bed, holding Adiz's hand, but his expression when he saw Chioma was pure venom. 5 minutes, he said coldly. "Then security will remove you." Chioma approached the bed slowly. "Adiz, I never wanted to destroy me?" Adiz interrupted, tears streaming down her face. "To take away the one person who loved me? Because that's what you did, sister. You exposed Emeka, embarrassed him publicly, and for what? Your precious pride? He stole from me. He lied about his entire life. He committed bigamy. He made a mistake." Adiz's voice rose, triggering a warning beep from the monitors. A nurse rushed in, checking vitals. "You need to stay calm," the nurse instructed Adiz, then looked pointedly at Chioma. "Maybe your visitor should leave." "No," Adiz said. "I need her to hear this. Chioma, you were never a real wife to Emeka. You were married to your company, your success, your empire. When did you last cook for him? Laugh with him? Touch him?" The accusations were poisonous, but worse, they contained shards of truth. Chioma had been obsessed with Okonkwo Corp, working 16-hour days, missing dinners and anniversaries, always prioritizing the next deal over her marriage. "That doesn't excuse, doesn't it?" Adiz challenged. "You abandoned him emotionally long before I came into the picture. I gave him what you never could, attention, affection, love. And now you're trying to destroy him because you finally noticed what you'd lost. Is that what he told you?" Chioma asked softly. "That I neglected him? That his affair was my fault? Did he also tell you about Yutund? About his daughter in London? About the pattern of using women and discarding them when they become inconvenient?" Adiz's face flickered with doubt, but Emeka interjected quickly, "Yutund is lying. That marriage was annulled years ago. She's extorting money by exploiting your sister's grief." "Then produce the annulment papers," Chioma challenged. "I don't have to prove anything to you. Not anymore. You're not my wife, you never legally were. Our partnership is dissolved." Okonkwo Corp's board met this morning in emergency session. They voted to remove you as CEO, citing conduct unbecoming and damage to company reputation. The words hit like a physical blow. "What? Did you really think your little press conference would play well with our investors? Our clients? Lagos's business elite don't want drama, Chioma. They want stability. And you've proven yourself unstable." Chief Okonkwo entered, holding up his phone with a satisfied smirk. The board voted 8-3. A message from an unknown number. "I heard what happened. If you need somewhere to go, my door is open. Chitty." Something broke inside Chioma. She'd been strong for so long, through miscarriages and betrayal, through business battles and family drama. But Chitty's simple offer of shelter, of humanity without conditions, shattered her last defenses. She found herself in an Uber heading back to Ajigunle, back to Chitty's small room in the decrepit building, back to the one person who'd shown her kindness without wanting something in return. Chitty opened the door, surprise and concern crossing his face. "Chioma? What happened?" She told him everything, the hospital confrontation, the board vote, Chief Okonkwo's threats. Chitty listened without interruption, then pulled her into his arms. "You haven't lost everything," he said quietly. "You've lost people who didn't deserve you. There's a difference." "I don't know who I am without my company," Chioma admitted. "Okonkwo Corp was my identity. My purpose. My proof that I mattered. You matter because you're you. Not because of what you built or who you married. The woman I knew 20 years ago, she was remarkable before she had money or status. She was smart and hungry and determined. That woman is still here." "Is she?" "Because right now I feel like a fool who trusted the wrong people and lost everything that mattered." "Then rebuild," Chitty said simply. "Not Okonkwo Corp, something new. Something they can't take from you because they don't know it exists." Chioma pulled back to look at him. "What are you talking about?" I've been thinking since you offered me that job. About second chances and starting over. About what we could do together if we stopped letting the past define us. He pulled out a worn notebook filled with sketches and calculations. I've been designing a new kind of affordable housing system, modular, sustainable, cost-effective. I've been working on it for years, but without capital or connections, it was just a dream. Chioma flipped through the pages, her trained eye recognizing brilliance in the designs. Chitty, this is incredible. Why didn't you show anyone? Who would listen to a homeless man with wild ideas? But you could make this real, Chioma. You have the expertise, the vision. Together, we could build something revolutionary. Something that actually helps people instead of just making rich people richer. I don't have capital anymore. The Okonkwo's froze my accounts pending the legal proceedings. But you have knowledge. Contacts. Reputation, even damaged, it's still worth something. And I have designs worth millions if someone develops them. Chitty's eyes blazed with the same passion she remembered from university. We start small. Bootstrap. Build one prototype housing unit, prove the concept, then pitch investors who aren't connected to the Okonkwo empire. Chioma felt something stirring inside her, not quite hope, but its distant cousin. Possibility. It would take months. Maybe years. So? You're not dead. You're just down. There's a difference. Her phone rang. Yutund. Chioma, where are you? The EFCC just called. They want to interview you about the embezzlement allegations, but they're saying the evidence might have been tampered with. Something's not right? What do you mean tampered with? The USB drives we distributed at the press conference. The EFCC's forensic team says the dates on some files don't match, like someone altered them after the fact. They're implying we fabricated evidence. Chioma's blood ran cold. That's impossible. You gave me those files directly from your investigator. I know. But Chioma, the EFCC investigator asking questions? His name is Adewale Okonkwo. He's Chief Okonkwo's cousin. The trap had been perfect. Give Chioma rope, let her hang herself publicly, then swoop in to control the narrative. Even Yutund's evidence might have been a plant, real enough to seem legitimate, flawed enough to discredit. They played us, Chioma whispered. Not entirely. I still have the original files from my investigator. They don't match what's on the USB drives, which means someone switched them. But proving it will be difficult without. A knock on Chitty's door interrupted. Loud, authoritative. Ibadan welcomed them with its characteristic chaos, honking horns, street hawkers, and the humid embrace of Nigeria's academic capital. Auntie Folake lived in Bodija, in a modest compound that smelled of hibiscus and old money quietly managed. She opened the door before Chioma could knock, her weathered face creased with worry. Chioma, my daughter. I've been watching the news. Come inside, both of you. Over bowls of pepper soup and pounded yam, Chioma told her father's sister everything. Auntie Folake listened without interruption, her expression growing harder with each revelation. The Okonkwos are jackals, she said finally. Your father warned you about that family, but you were in love. We all hoped Emeka would be different from his father. We were wrong. I need help, Auntie. Legal help, financial help. Someone I can trust who isn't in the Okonkwo's pocket. I know people. Your father's old business partners, they remember how Chief Okonkwo cheated your father years ago. Many would be happy to settle old scores. Auntie Folake turned to Chitty. And you, young man? What's your role in this drama? Chitty hesitated, glancing at Chioma. I'm helping. He's my partner, Chioma said firmly. In the new company we're building. Auntie Folake's eyebrows rose. Bold words for a woman running from EFCC charges. The charges are false. We have evidence, real evidence, that proves Emeka's embezzlement. We just need time to organize it properly and find allies willing to stand against the Okonkwo family. That's not a small ask, Auntie Folake warned. But your father's lawyer, Boda Delik, he's still practicing. He's old now, semi-retired, but he hates the Okonkwos with a passion. Let me call him. 3 hours later, Boda Delik sat in Auntie Folake's living room, reviewing the evidence Yutund had sent via encrypted email. He was 73, sharp-eyed, and thoroughly unconvinced. This is circumstantial at best, he said, echoing Chief Okonkwo's earlier dismissal. Transaction records without context, emails that could be interpreted multiple ways. The EFCC won't pursue this without stronger proof. What about the bigamy? Chioma pressed. Yutund's marriage is documented. And Emeka will claim it was annulled informally, or that he didn't know it was still valid. In Nigerian law, proving bigamy requires more than just a certificate. You need intent to deceive, which is hard to demonstrate. Bode sighed. Chioma, I'm not saying you can't win. I'm saying you're fighting uphill with your hands tied. Then what do I do? You need something undeniable. A witness willing to testify against Emeka. Bank employees who facilitated the offshore transfers. Someone inside the Okonkwo organization willing to flip. Who would risk that? Chidi asked. Someone with more to gain than to lose, Bode replied. Someone Emeka crossed who wants revenge as badly as you do. That night, unable to sleep, Chioma scrolled through years of old messages and emails. She was looking for cracks in the Okonkwo empire, people who'd been pushed out or passed over, anyone nursing grudges. She found her answer in a name she'd almost forgotten, Tund Bakare, Emeka's former business partner who'd been forced out of an early Okonkwo Corp venture under suspicious circumstances. The official story was that Tund had mismanaged funds, but Chioma remembered Emeka's smug satisfaction at the time, how easily he'd taken full control. A quick search revealed Tund now lived in Abuja, running a small consulting firm. Chioma composed a careful email. Mr. Bakare, my name is Chioma Okonkwo. I believe you and I have a common enemy and a common interest in the truth. I'd like to meet. The response came within an hour, name the place and time. 2 days later, Chioma and Chidi took the night bus to Abuja, traveling under false names provided by Chioma. It was Adiz, her voice weak. I need to see you. Why would I? Because I lied. About everything. And if I don't tell someone the truth soon, I'm going to lose my mind. Chioma's heart raced. What are you talking about? The baby. The affair. Everything. It's not what you think. Please, sister. I'm at St. Nicholas Hospital in Lagos. Room 412. Come alone, and I'll tell you everything. The line went dead. Chidi grabbed Chioma's arm. It's a trap. It has to be. Maybe. But what if it's not? What if Adiz is finally ready to tell the truth? Then she can tell it to Bode Adelik. Chioma, going back to Lagos right now, when there's an arrest warrant. I have to know, Chioma interrupted. I have to hear it from her. Even if it's a trap, even if they arrest me, I need to look my sister in the eye and understand why she destroyed everything. Tund cleared his throat. I have a cousin who works at St. Nicholas. Let me make some calls, see if Adiz is actually there and if this is legitimate. 20 minutes later, he confirmed it. Adiz Nwosu was indeed in room 412, admitted 3 days ago with complications from her pregnancy. She'd been alone, no Emeka, no family, just security posted outside her door. The security bothers me, Tund said. Either they're protecting her or preventing her from leaving. There's only one way to find out, Chioma said, making her decision. They arrived in Lagos that afternoon, taking precautions, separate cars, disguises, careful routes avoiding main roads. Chidi insisted on coming despite Adiz's request that Chioma come alone. If this goes wrong, you'll need a witness, he said. I'm not letting you walk into danger alone. St. Nicholas Hospital was in Ikeja, its modern facade gleaming in afternoon sun. They entered separately, Chidi as a visitor, Chioma disguised in a hijab and sunglasses borrowed from one of Tund's contacts. Room 412 was quiet. The security Tund mentioned was gone, a worrying sign. Chioma knocked softly. Come in, Adiz called. Her sister looked terrible, pale, thin, with dark circles under her eyes that spoke of sleepless nights and terrible decisions. The pregnant belly was smaller than it should have been at 15 weeks. Chioma, Adiz breathed. You came. You said you lied. About what? Adiz's eyes filled with tears. About all of it. The affair didn't start 8 months ago. It started 3 months ago, and it wasn't my idea. What? Emeka approached me, Adiz said, words tumbling out in a rush. He said you were planning to divorce him, take the company, destroy his family. He said if I helped him, if I pretended to be his mistress, got pregnant with his child, he'd give me money. Enough to finish school, start a business, never worry again. I was stupid and broke and angry at you for always being perfect, so I agreed. Chioma felt sick. The baby isn't Emeka's, Adiz whispered. It's from my ex-boyfriend, Kunal. Emeka paid him to disappear, paid doctors to falsify dates on the sonogram, paid me to play the mistress. Everything at the vow renewal was staged. He made sure you'd catch us, made sure it looked real. Why? Why would he do this? The company. It was always about the company. He needed you discredited, emotionally destroyed, legally compromised. He planned everything, the staged affair, your reaction, even hiring that private investigator to follow you when you left the hotel. When you spent the night with Chidi, it was a gift to Emeka. He used it to paint you as unstable, immoral, unfit to run Okonkwo Corp. The room spun. Everything, every moment of betrayal, every humiliation, every loss, had been choreographed. And now? Chioma asked through numb lips. Now Emeka's won, and he doesn't need me anymore. He stopped paying. Stopped visiting. The baby's father is gone. My family hates me for betraying you. I'm alone, broke, and pregnant with a child I was supposed to give up for adoption as part of Emeka's plan. Adiz sobbed. I destroyed my own sister for money that never came and a man who never loved me. Chidi, who'd been listening from the doorway, pulled out his phone. This confession, we need you to repeat it on camera. No, came a cold voice from behind him. They turned to find Emeka blocking the exit, flanked by 2 large security guards. His expression was triumphant. Nice try, Chioma. But Adiz is mentally unstable, pregnancy hormones, you understand. The doctors will testify she's been having delusions, making wild accusations. This conversation? It never happened. One of the guards grabbed Chidi's phone, smashing it against the wall. And now, Emeka continued, the EFCC agents waiting downstairs will arrest you for evidence tampering and fleeing custody. You've made this so easy. But Chioma was smiling, a cold, calculated expression that gave Emeka pause. What's so funny? He demanded. You're so focused on controlling the narrative, you forgot to check for other cameras. She pointed to her hijab, where a tiny recording device, courtesy of Tun's security consultant, had captured everything. And while you were busy gloating, my lawyer was live streaming this conversation to 10,000 viewers on Instagram. Emeka's face went white. He lunged for Chioma, but Chidi stepped between them, and suddenly the room erupted in chaos, guards grabbing Chidi, Adiz screaming, Emeka shouting threats. Then the door burst open and uniformed officers poured in, the threat hung over them like storm clouds. Chief Okonkwo wasn't bluffing, the Okonkwo family had proven repeatedly they'd stop at nothing to protect their interests. A 13-year-old girl in London was an easy target for a man with international connections and zero conscience. We have to tell the police, Chidi said immediately, his face ashen. And say what? Yutun countered, her voice tight with fear. That we received a threatening text? Chief Okonkwo is too smart to have sent it from his own phone. By the time police investigate, she couldn't finish the sentence. They'd retreated to a safe house in Surulere, arranged by Boda Delik through his network of activists and reformers. The live stream of Adiz's confession had indeed gone viral, 3 million views in 6 hours, trending across African social media, picked up by CNN and BBC. Public opinion was swinging decisively in Chioma's favor. But public opinion didn't protect children from ruthless men. I'm calling my sister in London, Yutun said, hands shaking as she dialed. She can pick up Temi early, keep her home from school. That's just delaying the inevitable, Tund interrupted. He joined them at the safe house, having become an unofficial member of their resistance. Chief Okonkwo wants Chioma to drop charges. As long as those charges stand, Temi's in danger. So I'm supposed to let Emeka go free? Chioma's voice rose. After everything? After the fraud, the bigamy, the manipulation? After he destroyed my life and used my own sister as a weapon? After he threatened a child, Boda Delik said quietly. The elderly lawyer had arrived an hour ago, looking every one of his 73 years. This is the moment they break most people, threaten someone innocent, someone powerless. Force you to choose between justice and conscience. Chioma looked at the faces around her, Yutun, terrified for her daughter, Chidi, torn between vengeance and protection, Tund, who'd waited 8 years for his own justice, Bode, who'd fought the Okonkwos his entire career. There has to be another way, she said. There is, came a new voice from the doorway. They all turned to see Adiz, pale and swaying, still in her hospital gown with a coat thrown over it. She discharged herself against medical advice and somehow found them. How did you? Chioma started. I followed Yutun. I'm still good at being invisible when I need to be. Adiz moved into the room slowly, one hand on her belly. I heard about Chief Okonkwo's threat. I can help. Why would you help us? Chidi demanded. After everything? Because that man is threatening a child. Because I've done enough evil for the Okonkwo family. Because, her voice broke, because I want my sister back, even if she never forgives me. Chioma studied Adiz, really looked at her for the first time since the hospital confession. Her sister was broken, remorseful, and still carrying a child conceived in deception. But beneath the damage, Chioma saw the little girl she'd raised, the sister she'd loved before greed and manipulation corrupted everything. What's your plan? Chioma asked cautiously. Chief Okonkwo trusts me. Or he did, before today's livestream. But he doesn't know I was the one who told you everything. As far as he knows, you forced a confession from me while I was drugged and vulnerable. Adiz sat down carefully. I can go to him. Tell him you threatened me too. Tell him you're planning to flee the country with evidence that could destroy the entire family. Make him think he's won. He'll want proof, Yutun said. I'll give him fake flight itineraries, forged documents, whatever he needs to believe Chioma's running. While he's focused on stopping her escape, we gather real evidence of his threat against Temi, recordings, witnesses, anything that proves he's escalated from business crimes to endangering children. That's incredibly dangerous, Bode warned. If Chief Okonkwo suspects you're playing him, then I'll be in danger instead of a 13-year-old who's never done anything wrong, Adiz interrupted. I deserve danger. Temi doesn't. The room fell silent. Chioma wanted to refuse, wanted to keep her sister far from additional harm. But she also recognized truth when she heard it. Adiz needed redemption as much as Chioma needed justice. Okay, Chioma said finally. But you wear a wire. Everything recorded, everything documented. And if things go wrong, you run. They spent the next 3 hours preparing. Tun's security consultant, a former DSS operative named Rashid, provided sophisticated recording equipment hidden in Adiz's jewelry. Bode briefed her on exactly what to say and how to manipulate Chief Okonkwo's ego. Yutun called her sister in London, ensuring Temi was in a safe location with private security Chioma paid for with the last accessible funds from a hidden account Chief Okonkwo hadn't found. At 7 p.m., Adiz left for the Okonkwo family estate in Ikoyi, wearing designer clothes borrowed from a friend and carrying herself like the manipulative mistress they all believed she was. They monitored her location via phone GPS and listened to her wire through Rashid's equipment. The wait was excruciating. She's entering the compound, Rashid narrated, watching his screens. Security let her through, good sign he's expecting her. Through the speakers, they heard Adiz's nervous breathing, then the sound of doors opening, Chief Okonkwo's booming voice, Adiz. I wondered when you'd come crawling back. Chief, Adiz's voice came through clearly. I need to talk to you about Chioma. What about her? She's planning to leave Nigeria. Tomorrow night, flight to London via Turkish Airlines. She has copies of all the evidence, the real evidence, not the tampered USB drives. She's going to sell her story to international media, destroy the— What do you mean? Adiz asked carefully. I mean accidents happen to people who cross my family. Schoolgirls get hit by cars. Buildings catch fire. London is full of dangers for those who don't pay attention. You'd hurt a child? I'd do whatever's necessary to protect my family's legacy. Emeka is in jail because of these people. Okonkwo Corp's reputation is damaged. Investors are nervous. If destroying a few lives prevents the destruction of everything my father built, then yes, I'll do it without hesitation. That's— Adiz's voice shook, genuine horror mixing with performance. That's intense, Chief. That's power, girl. Real power means being willing to do what others won't. Your sister built a company, but she never understood true power. She thought playing by rules would protect her. Rules are for people without connections. And if I help you stop her? What do I get? Money. A house. Security for you and your baby. But more importantly, you get to survive. Because everyone connected to Chioma's little resistance is going to face consequences. Tun Bakare, that lawyer Bode, all the other fools who testified against my son, they'll all learn what happens when you challenge the Okonkwo family. Rashid was frantically typing, ensuring every word was being saved to multiple secure locations. This wasn't just evidence of threatening Temi, this was conspiracy to harm multiple people. I understand, Adiz said. So what do you need from me? Get me the address of that safe house. Tonight. I'll send people to discourage their plans. What kind of people? The kind who solve problems permanently. If Chioma wants to play games, she'll learn that some games have fatal consequences. The room erupted in controlled chaos. Rashid was on the phone with police contacts not connected to the Okonkwo network. Bode was calling judges he trusted, demanding emergency protection orders. Yutun was crying and calling her sister in London again. But Chioma just sat still, listening to Chief Okonkwo reveal his true nature. Not just a corrupt businessman, but a man willing to order murders to protect his empire. Adiz, get out of there, she said into the microphone. You have enough. Leave now. But Adiz didn't respond. Instead, her voice came through the speakers again. Chief, I need to know, was any of it real? Did Emeka ever actually care about me, or was I always just a tool? Does it matter? It matters to me. I destroyed my relationship with my sister for him. I'm carrying a child in a lie. I need to know if any of it meant anything. Chief Okonkwo sighed. Girl, Emeka has been manipulating women since he was 16. You were convenient, young, pretty, related to Chioma, naive enough to believe his promises. The moment you stopped being useful, you stopped mattering. That's life. Get used to disappointment. I see. Adiz's voice went flat, emotionless. Thank you for your honesty, Chief. Now get me that address, and we'll— No. Silence crackled through the speakers. What did you say? I said no. I'm not giving you anything. I'm not helping you hurt my sister or anyone else. I'm done being your family's puppet. You stupid little, Chief Okonkwo's voice turned venomous. Do you have any idea what you've just done? What I'll do to you? I'm recording this conversation, Adiz said clearly. Every word. Every threat. And it's being live-streamed to 10,000 people right now. You're finished, Chief Okonkwo. That's not true. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your phone. Check Twitter. Hashtag Okonkwo threatens is already trending. The sound of movement, a phone being grabbed, and then Chief Okonkwo's roar of rage. Security! Stop her! Adiz, run! Chioma screamed at the microphone, though her sister couldn't hear her. Through the speakers they heard Adiz running, doors slamming, men shouting. Rashid pulled up social media. Adiz had somehow activated a Facebook Live on her phone before entering, and thousands were watching in real time as she fled through the Okonkwo compound. This is insane, Yatun breathed. She's going to get killed. But Adiz was younger, faster, and motivated by genuine terror. They heard her burst out of the house, heard her screaming for help, heard car tires squealing. I'm at the gate. Adiz panted into her phone. Security won't let me leave, Chief called ahead. Climb, Chitty shouted uselessly at the speakers. Climb the fence. Then they heard it, a new voice, authoritative and commanding. This is the Nigerian police force. Stand down. Let her through. Bode's emergency calls had worked. Units from the Lagos State Police Command, alerted to a possible kidnapping in progress and motivated by the viral livestream, had surrounded the compound. We're coming in, the police commander announced. Chief Okonkwo, you are wanted for questioning regarding terroristic threats and conspiracy to commit murder. Come out peacefully. The next 30 minutes were chaos, police entering the compound, Chief Okonkwo being arrested despite his threats and connections, Adiz being escorted out safely and rushed to the hospital for observation. And through it all, Nigeria watched. The live stream had been viewed by 500,000 people. International media picked it up within the hour. By midnight, Chief Okonkwo's threats to harm a child, to order murders, to protect his criminal empire at any cost, all of it was global news. The Okonkwo empire that had stood for 3 generations crumbled in a single evening. At the safe house, Chioma watched it unfold in stunned silence. Emeka remained in custody, now facing additional charges. Chief Okonkwo was arrested. The Okonkwo Court Board held an emergency meeting and voted unanimously to return control to Chioma, with public apologies for their earlier decision. Tun's testimony, combined with evidence from 5 other victims, proved a pattern of fraud spanning 15 years. The EFCC, now under intense public scrutiny and unable to ignore the evidence, opened formal investigations. It was victory, complete and total. So why did Chioma feel so empty? Because winning isn't the same as healing, Ngozi said softly. She'd arrived at the safe house an hour ago, having fought through traffic and police cordons to reach her friend. You got justice, Chioma. But justice doesn't undo betrayal. It doesn't give you back the years you lost or the family you thought you had. I know. Chioma looked at her phone, at the messages pouring in, support from strangers, apologies from former friends, interview requests from every media outlet in Africa. I thought winning would feel different. Better. It will. Eventually. Once the adrenaline fades and the reality settles in. Ngozi squeezed her hand. You're free, Chioma. Free from a false marriage, from a corrupt family, from people who used you. That's worth celebrating. A commotion at the door interrupted them. Adiz entered, supported by nurses and police escorts, looking exhausted but alive. Her eyes found Chioma's across the room. Sister, she whispered. Chioma crossed to her, and for a long moment they just looked at each other, all the hurt and betrayal and complicated love hanging between them. I'm sorry, Adiz said. For everything. I know sorry isn't enough, I know I can never. Chioma pulled her into a hug, carefully avoiding her belly. You saved us. You were brave when it mattered most. That's what I'll remember. Can you forgive me? Someday? Someday, Chioma agreed. But not today. Today I'm still angry and hurt. Today I need space. But someday, maybe. It was honest, and it was enough. Later that night, as Lagos settled into uneasy sleep, Chioma stood on the safe house balcony with Chitty. The city sprawled below them, chaotic and beautiful and relentless. What happens now? Chitty asked. I rebuild. Take back my company, clean out the corruption, make it something I'm proud of again. She turned to him. And I'd like you to be part of that. Not as a charity case or a rebound, but as a genuine partner. Your designs, my business knowledge, tons experience, we could build something revolutionary. You're serious. Completely. I've spent 12 years building an empire that belonged to someone else. Now I want to build something that actually matters. Affordable housing, sustainable development, projects that help people instead of just enriching them. Are you in? Chitty smiled, a real smile, the first she'd seen from him in days. I'm in. But on one condition. What's that? We take it slow. The business, whatever's between us, all of it. We've both been through trauma. We both need healing. Let's not rush into anything we'll regret. Slow sounds perfect, Chioma agreed. Her phone buzzed, a message from Yutund, Temi's safe. Private security worked. She wants to talk to you. Chioma called, and a young girl's voice answered, tentative but curious, Mrs. Okonkwo? Just Chioma, please. Your mother told me what happened. Are you okay? I'm fine. Mum's bodyguards are nice. One of them taught me self-defense. A pause. Is it true what they're saying on the news? That my father tried to hurt people? How do you explain evil to a child who's never experienced it? Your father made very bad choices, Chioma said carefully. He hurt a lot of people, including himself. But that's not your fault, and it doesn't define who you are. Mum says you're a good person. That you protected us even though you didn't have to. Your mum protected herself. She was incredibly brave. Will I ever meet you? And the man in the videos, Chitty? Mum says he might be important to you. Chioma looked at Chitty, who was watching her with those honest eyes she'd fallen for twice now. Maybe, Chioma said. If you want to, and if it feels right. There's no rush. We have time to figure things out. Okay. Thank you for saving us, Chioma. After the call ended, Chioma felt something she hadn't felt in months, hope. Not the desperate hope of revenge or vindication, but the quiet hope of new beginnings. You're good with her, Chitty observed. I always wanted children. It just never happened with. She couldn't finish the sentence. With Emeka felt like referring to a stranger now. Maybe it wasn't meant to happen then, Chitty said. Maybe it's meant to happen now, in a different way, with different people. They stood in comfortable silence, watching Lagos breathe beneath them. Somewhere in the city, Emeka and Chief Okonkwo sat in police cells, their empire crumbling. Somewhere, Adiz slept in a hospital bed, healing from wounds both physical and emotional. Somewhere, Yutund held her daughter, relieved and grateful. And here, on this balcony, two broken people began the slow work of becoming whole. But peace never lasted long in Lagos. Chioma's phone rang at 3 a.m., an unknown international number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Chioma Okonkwo? The voice was female, American accented, professional. Who is this? My name is Dr. Sarah Chen. I'm a genetic counselor at King's College Hospital in London. I'm calling about Yutund Adeyemi's daughter, Temi. We ran some routine tests after the security incident, and there's something you need to know about her paternity. Chioma's blood ran cold. What about it? The DNA doesn't match Emeka Okonkwo's profile in our system. We ran it 3 times to be sure. Temi Adeyemi is not Emeka Okonkwo's biological daughter. The world tilted again. Then whose daughter is she? That's what we were hoping you could help us determine. Because according to our analysis, there's a 99.9% probability that Temi is related to you. Not through Emeka, through blood. She's your biological daughter, Mrs. Okonkwo. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. What just happened? How is this possible? Drop your theories in the comments below and share this story with anyone who loves shocking plot twists. Where are you watching from? The hospital in London gleamed with the sterile efficiency of British medical care, so different from Lagos's controlled chaos. Chioma had taken the first available flight, leaving Chitty and the others to manage the legal aftermath while she chased this impossible revelation. Temi sat in Dr. Chen's office, Yutund beside her, both looking confused and anxious. The teenager had her father's eyes, except now Chioma realized those weren't Emeka's eyes at all. They were her own father's eyes, the Nwosu family eyes, passed down through generations. I don't understand, Yutund said for the 3rd time. How is this possible? I was married to Emeka. I was faithful. Temi has to be his daughter. Dr. Chen pulled up genetic charts on her computer. The science is clear. Temi shares significant DNA markers with Mrs. Okonkwo, maternal markers that indicate a direct biological connection. There's no possibility of error. But I gave birth to her, Yutund protested. I was pregnant for 9 months. I felt every kick, every movement. She came from my body. Which is why this is so unusual, Dr. Chen agreed. Mrs. Okonkwo, do you have any history with IVF? Egg donation? Any reproductive procedures that might explain this? Chioma's mind raced back 14 years. She'd been trying to get pregnant with Emeka, struggling with her first round of IVF treatments. The clinic in London, recommended by Emeka's family doctor, had harvested her eggs for fertilization. I did IVF, Chioma said slowly. 13, 14 years ago. But the treatment failed. They said my eggs weren't viable after fertilization, that we'd have to try again with different medications. Which clinic? Harley Street Fertility Center. Dr. Chen's expression darkened. That clinic was investigated 5 years ago for unauthorized use of genetic material. Several patients discovered their eggs or embryos had been used without consent. The clinic was shut down, but the damage was done. The pieces clicked together with horrifying clarity. They used my eggs, Chioma whispered. They told me the fertilization failed, but they actually created viable embryos and, what? Sold them? Or used them for other patients without disclosure, Dr. Chen confirmed. It was a significant scandal. If Yutun was treated at the same facility. I was, Yutun breathed. Emeka paid for me to do IVF when we were trying to conceive. He said his family doctor recommended the best clinic in London for difficult cases. They sat in stunned silence, processing the magnitude of the deception. Emeka hadn't just been a bigamist and a thief. He'd orchestrated something far more sinister, using Chioma's own genetic material to impregnate his first wife, creating a child that was biologically Chioma's but born to Yutun. Why would he do this? Yutun asked. What possible reason? Control, Chioma said bitterly. Insurance. If I ever left him or challenged him, he'd have a biological child of mine to leverage. A child I didn't know existed, who I'd have no legal claim to, who he could use as a weapon. That's diabolical, Dr. Chen said quietly. That's Emeka, Chioma replied. Temi, who'd been silent throughout this revelation, finally spoke. So you're my biological mother? My real mother? Biologically, yes, Chioma said carefully. But Yutun is your mother in every way that matters. She carried you, birthed you, raised you, loved you. I didn't even know you existed until 3 days ago. But you share my DNA. My genes. We're connected. Yes. We are. Chioma looked at Yutun, seeing her own confusion and fear reflected back. But that doesn't change who your mother is. It just means you have 2 women who have biological and emotional investments in your well-being. What do I call you? Temi asked. The question hung in the air. Not Mom, that belonged to Yutun. But not Mrs. Okonkwo either, not anymore. Call me Chioma, she said finally. And let's figure out the rest as we go. Over the next few days, they pieced together the full scope of Emeka's manipulation. The Harley Street Fertility Center's files, subpoenaed during the investigation years ago, revealed that Emeka had specifically requested Chioma's eggs be used for Yutun's IVF treatment, claiming it was for medical compatibility reasons that the doctors never questioned. He'd known from the beginning that Temi was biologically Chioma's daughter. He'd kept that secret for 13 years, abandoning Yutun and Temi in London while marrying Chioma in Lagos, creating a twisted family tree that served his purposes. It explained so much, Yutun said as they sat in her London flat, watching Temi sleep on the couch. Why he was so insistent I used that specific clinic. Why he abandoned us so completely after she was born. He'd gotten what he wanted, a biological heir with Chioma's genes, and didn't need us anymore. Did he ever try to see her? As she grew up? Once. 3 years ago. He showed up unannounced, took photos of her, asked medical questions about her health and development. Then he left and I never heard from him again. I thought he was just a terrible father checking on a child out of guilt. Now I realize he was monitoring his, what? His genetic investment? His insurance policy, Chioma corrected. If I ever became a problem, he could reveal Temi's existence, claim I'd secretly had a child and abandoned her, destroy my reputation as the career woman who chose business over family. Or he could threaten to take her from you, use my biological connection to file custody claims. Can he do that? Legally? Chioma had already consulted with Boda Delik and a team of international family law experts. He could try. British law would recognize you as the legal mother since you gave birth. But Nigerian law would be more complex, especially given my genetic connection. It would be years of litigation. Which he'll never have the chance to pursue, Yutun said firmly. He's facing decades in prison. Chief Okonkwo too. The empire is finished. But the damage is done. Chioma looked at Temi, her biological daughter, raised by another woman, a child she'd never held as a baby or watched grow. I missed everything. Her first steps, first words, 13 years of her life. You can't get that back, Yutun said gently. None of us can change what Emeka stole from us. But you can be part of her future, if you want. If she wants. Do you want that? Honestly? Yutun was quiet for a long moment. I spent 13 years raising her alone, telling her stories about her absent father, trying to fill the hole he left. I never imagined there was another woman with a claim to her, a biological claim stronger than his. Part of me is terrified you'll want to take her, that your resources and connections will let you claim custody, that I'll lose the only person I have left in this world. I would never. I know. Rationally, I know that. You've been nothing but kind to us. But I'm her mother, Chioma. Biology doesn't change that. I don't want to change it, Chioma said firmly. I want to be. I don't know what I want to be. A friend? An aunt? Some undefined role that we create together? But I don't want to replace you. I couldn't if I tried. Then we figure it out, Yutun said. We're both victims of the same man's manipulation. We both love this girl. Maybe that's enough to build something good from something terrible. They decided to stay in London for 2 weeks while lawyers sorted through the legal implications and while Temi adjusted to the shocking news. Chioma used the time to get to know her biological daughter, carefully, respectfully, never pushing. They went to museums and parks. Chioma listened to Temi talk about school and friends and her dreams of becoming an engineer like the man she'd never known was her biological father, Chidi, whose genetic material wasn't involved, but whose profession inspired her nonetheless. Mum says you built buildings in Lagos, Temi said one afternoon as they walked through Hyde Park. Big developments that changed the skyline. I did. With help from many people. Will you build more? Yes. Different kinds of buildings though. Homes that people can actually afford. Communities that support families instead of just generating profit. That sounds nice. Temi kicked a stone along the path. Can I ask you something weird? Of course. Do you wish you'd raised me? Like, if you'd known I existed from the beginning? Chioma considered the question carefully. I wish I'd had the choice. I wish Emeka hadn't stolen that decision from both your mother and me. But if I'd raised you, you wouldn't be the person you are now. Yutun made you who you are, brave and curious and kind. I can't wish that away just because I missed it. That's a good answer, Temi said seriously. Mum said you were smart. Your mum is pretty smart herself. Yeah. Temi smiled. I'm lucky to have her. And maybe now I'm lucky to have you too? Even if it's weird and complicated? Even if it's weird and complicated, Chioma agreed. But Lagos called her back. The legal battles over Okonkwo Corp's ownership had been resolved in her favor, but the company needed leadership to navigate the scandal's aftermath. Investors needed reassurance. Employees needed direction. The empire she'd built required her presence. The night before her flight, Yutun knocked on her hotel room door. I wanted to give you something, Yutun said, handing her an envelope. Photos. Of Temi growing up. All the moments you missed. I can't give you the actual memories, but you can see them. Chioma opened the envelope to find pictures spanning 13 years, a tiny baby, a toddler learning to walk, a gap-toothed child on her first day of school, a teenager laughing with friends. Her daughter's life, documented by the woman who'd loved her when Chioma hadn't known she existed. Thank you, Chioma whispered through tears. And this. Yutun handed her a legal document. My lawyer drew it up. It gives you defined parental rights, visitation, medical decisions, educational input. You're officially part of her life now, with legal recognition and protection. If anything happens to me, you're designated as her guardian. Yutun. I want her to know both her mothers, Yutun interrupted. The one who raised her and the one who gave her life, even if she didn't know it. She deserves that. We all do. They hugged, two women bound by the same man's deception, choosing to build something better from the ruins. Back in Lagos, Chioma found her world transformed. Okonkwo Corp was hers again, but the scandal had left marks. Some clients remained, loyal or pragmatic. Others had fled to competitors, unwilling to be associated with the drama. But new opportunities emerged. Companies impressed by her resilience reached out. International investors interested in ethical development wanted to partner. And the Nigerian public, having watched her fight back against corruption and betrayal, embraced her as a symbol of perseverance. Chidi was waiting at her office when she arrived. He'd spent the 2 weeks organizing his designs, preparing presentations, building a framework for their new partnership. Welcome back, boss, he said with a smile. Partner, Chioma corrected. We're equals in this. I have the business experience, you have the vision. Together, we build something neither of us could create alone. Together, he agreed. They spent the next month transforming Okonkwo Corp. They terminated partnerships with the corrupt officials and contractors Chief Okonkwo had cultivated. They initiated audits to find and return all stolen funds. They established transparency measures to prevent future fraud. And they launched something new, Okonkwo Corp Affordable Housing Initiative, using Chidi's designs to create sustainable, beautiful homes that middle-class Nigerians could actually afford. The first development broke ground in Ikorodu, with plans to expand across Lagos and eventually all of Nigeria. Tun joined as Chief Operating Officer, bringing his experience and his network of former Emeka victims who were now allies. Adiz, after giving birth to a healthy son she named after their father, started working in community outreach, helping connect developments with the families who'd live in them. Even Ngozi joined full-time as general counsel, tired of private practice and inspired by the company's new mission. "You've built something good here," Ngozi observed 6 months after Chioma's return from London. "Something that actually matters." "We built it," Chioma corrected. "All of us. Every person who refused to let the Okonkwo's win. Every victim who testified. Every supporter who believed the truth would matter." Speaking of which, the trial starts next month. Both Emeka and Chief Okonkwo. "Are you ready?" Chioma thought about all she'd lost and all she'd gained. A false marriage, but a true daughter. A stolen company, now reclaimed and transformed. Betrayal that led to genuine partnership with people who deserved her trust. "I'm ready," she said. The trial was everything trials involving powerful families always were: dramatic, drawn out, and heavily publicized. But the evidence was overwhelming. Yitun's testimony about bigamy. Tund and the other victims' accounts of fraud. Adiz's confession and the recordings of Chief Okonkwo's threats. Dr. Chen's documentation of the unauthorized use of Chioma's genetic material. Emeka's lawyers fought hard, but even the best lawyers couldn't overcome facts, recordings, and DNA evidence. After 3 months, the verdict came: Emeka Okonkwo, guilty on all counts. 22 years in prison. Chief Okonkwo, guilty of conspiracy, fraud, and terroristic threats. 18 years. The Okonkwo Empire, which had dominated Lagos business for 3 generations, collapsed. Their assets were seized to pay restitution to victims. Their name became synonymous with corruption instead of power. And Chioma watched it all from the gallery, feeling not triumph but something quieter: closure. "How do you feel?" Chidi asked as they left the courthouse. "Like I can finally breathe," Chioma admitted. "Like a weight I didn't know I was carrying just lifted." "Good. Because I have something to ask you." He led her to a quiet corner of the courthouse steps, away from journalists and onlookers. Then he did something that made Chioma's heart stop. He knelt. "Chioma Nwosu, not Okonkwo, never Okonkwo, I'm not asking you to marry me. Not yet. We both need more healing, more time, more certainty. But I'm asking you to build a future with me. Not just a company, but a life. A real partnership based on honesty and respect and the kind of love that survives devastation. Will you?" Chioma looked at this man who'd been her first love, who'd fallen to rock bottom and climbed back up, who'd shown her kindness when she had nothing left to offer in return. "Yes," she said. "But slowly. Carefully. With full transparency and no rushing." "Slowly," Chidi agreed, standing and pulling her into an embrace. "We have time." 1 year later, Chioma stood in the first completed unit of the Okonkwo Corp Affordable Housing Initiative, watching as a young family received their keys. The mother cried. The father kept touching the walls like he couldn't believe they were real. Their children ran through rooms that were theirs, truly theirs, for the first time. This, Chioma thought, is what success actually looks like. Not penthouse apartments for the ultra-wealthy. Not developments that displaced communities. But homes that gave families stability, dignity, hope. Temi was visiting for the summer, spending time between Yitund in London and Chioma in Lagos. She'd adjusted to having 2 mothers with surprising grace, treating it as just another interesting fact about her complicated life. "This is cool," Temi said, watching the family explore their new home. "You're actually helping people." "We're helping people," Chioma corrected. "The designs are Chidi's. The financing structure is Tun's innovation. The community outreach is your Aunt Adiz's work. I just coordinate. Still. It's cool. Maybe I want to do this too. Engineering, but like, for good instead of just for money." "Then we'll need you back here after university," Chioma said. "Okonkwo Corp 2.0 is always looking for brilliant engineers with social consciences." "Deal." Temi grinned, her grandmother's smile on her face, carrying genetics from 3 generations of Nwosu women forward into the future. That evening, the core team gathered at Chioma's new home, modest by her old standards, but comfortable and truly hers. Ngozi, Tund, Yitund, visiting from London, Adiz with baby Nwosu, Boda Delik, and Chidi. They raised glasses of Chapman, because Chioma had sworn off champagne after the vow renewal disaster, and toasted to survival, to justice, to second chances. "To the ones who didn't break us," Tund said. "To the ones who tried," Adiz added with dark humor. "To the future we're building," Ngozi contributed. "To family, the one we choose," Yitund offered, looking at Chioma with genuine friendship. To truth winning eventually, Bode said, even when it takes its sweet time. To all of us, Chitty finished, for being stubborn enough to survive. They drank, laughed, and told stories of the battle they'd fought and won. And Chioma felt something she hadn't felt in years, complete. Not because everything was perfect, it wasn't. She still had therapy appointments to process trauma. Adiz was still working to rebuild trust. The company faced ongoing challenges. But she was free. From lies, from manipulation, from the cage of someone else's expectations. She was building something real with people who valued her for who she was, not what she could provide. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. Her heart skipped, old trauma surfacing, but she opened it anyway. It was from Emeka. Somehow he'd gotten access to a phone in prison. You think you won. But you didn't. You're alone, Chioma. No husband, no real children, nothing but a company built on my family's foundation. In 20 years, you'll be forgotten. The Okonkwo name will endure. Chioma read it twice, then showed it to Chitty. Want me to report it? He asked. No, Chioma said, surprising herself. He needs to believe that to survive prison. Let him have his delusions. She deleted the message and looked around at her chosen family, broken people who'd become whole together, victims who'd become victors, strangers who'd become something deeper than blood. He's wrong, you know, Adiz said quietly. She'd read the message over Chioma's shoulder. You're not alone. You're not forgotten. And the only name that will endure is yours, Chioma Nwosu, the woman who built an empire, lost everything, and built something better from the ashes. Chioma Nwosu, Yetund echoed. Mother to my daughter, partner to my cause, friend when I needed one. Chioma Nwosu, Tund added. The one who gave us all a second chance. Chioma Nwosu, Chitty said, taking her hand. The woman I fell in love with twice. And Chioma smiled, a real smile, uncomplicated by fear or performance or the need to be anyone other than herself. Chioma Nwosu, she repeated. That's enough. 5 years later, Okonkwo Corp Affordable Housing had completed developments in 8 Nigerian cities. Temi had graduated from university with an engineering degree and joined the company full-time, bringing fresh ideas and youthful enthusiasm. Adiz had reconciled with her family and found genuine love with a teacher who valued her for who she was becoming, not who she'd been. Yetund split her time between London and Retrio. Continue. Lagos, having started her own consultancy helping women navigate complex family law situations, specializing in fertility fraud cases like the one that had changed all their lives. Tund had been recognized by Forbes Africa as one of the continent's most innovative business leaders. Bode Delik had finally retired, satisfied that he'd lived to see the Okonkwo Empire fall and something better rise in its place. And Chioma and Chitty had married, finally, after 3 years of careful courtship and couples therapy and learning to trust again. Their wedding was small, intimate, held at a community center in one of the housing developments they'd built together. No champagne, no spectacle, just genuine joy. They never had biological children together, Chioma's fertility window had closed, and they'd made peace with that. But they had Temi, who called them both family. They had the young residents of their housing developments, who saw them as proof that success could be measured in lives improved rather than wealth accumulated. And they had each other, 2 broken people who'd become whole, not by forgetting their scars, but by learning that scars proved you survived. On the 5th anniversary of the trial's verdict, Chioma received a letter from Emeka. It had been screened by prison officials and arrived with an official stamp. Dear Chioma, it began, I've had 5 years to think about what I did. To understand the pain I caused. This isn't an excuse, there is no excuse, but an explanation. I was raised by a man who taught me that power mattered more than people, that winning justified any method, that women were assets to be managed rather than partners to be respected. I destroyed you because I feared you. You were brilliant and strong and didn't need me, which threatened everything I'd been taught about masculinity and control. So I tore you down, used your sister, stole your dreams, and convinced myself I was justified. I was wrong. About everything. You rebuilt without me, built something better than anything we created together. You proved that integrity and collaboration create more lasting success than manipulation and theft. You showed me what I could have been if I'd chosen differently. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I want you to know that you won in ways that go beyond court verdicts and company ownership. You won because you remained human while I became a monster. You won because people love you for who you are, while people feared what I could do to them. I hope you're happy, Chioma. Genuinely. Because your happiness is proof that good can triumph, that victims can become victors, that redemption is possible even when we don't deserve it. I'll spend the rest of my life in here, and that's justice. But you'll spend the rest of your life free, and that's grace. Emeka. Chioma read the letter 3 times, then showed it to Chitty. "What will you do with it?" he asked. "Nothing," she said. "I don't need his apology to move forward. I already have." She filed the letter away in a box with other remnants of that chapter of her life, evidence from the trial, newspaper clippings, photos of the woman she used to be. Then she closed the box and put it in storage. Some stories need to be remembered. But they don't need to be relived. That evening, she stood on the balcony of her home, the same balcony where she and Chitty had stood 5 years ago, watching Lagos breathe beneath them, planning their future. Now that future had become present. The city still sprawled, chaotic and beautiful and relentless. But Chioma's place in it had changed. She was no longer trying to dominate Lagos's skyline. She was trying to give its people dignified places to live. "Penny for your thoughts," Chitty said, joining her. "Just thinking about how far we've come. 5 years ago, I was running from the EFCC, sleeping in safe houses, my entire life in ruins. And now? Now I'm home. Really home. Not in a building I bought to impress people, but in a place I built to matter. With people who chose to love me, not because of what I could give them, but because of who I am." "Chioma Nwosu," Chitty said, kissing her forehead. "The woman who couldn't be broken." "Chioma Nwosu," she agreed. "Who learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to find what actually matters." Her phone buzzed, not with threats this time, but with a message from Temi. "Mum and I are at the airport. See you in an hour. Can't wait to show you my design for the Abuja project. Love you both. Love." From a daughter who'd been stolen from her before birth but had found her way back. From a woman who'd been her husband's first victim but had become her friend. From a community of survivors who'd built something beautiful from shared pain. "This," Chioma said to Chitty, to Lagos, to herself, "this is what winning actually looks like." And in that moment, standing on her balcony with the man she loved, waiting for the daughter she'd gained in the most impossible way, surrounded by the work that actually mattered, Chioma Nwosu was finally, completely, triumphantly free. The billionaire who'd lost everything had discovered something more valuable than wealth: authenticity, community, purpose, and love that couldn't be bought or stolen or destroyed by men who mistook power for strength. She was enough. She had always been enough. And that truth, more than any revenge, more than any victory, more than any empire, was the real ending to her story. Not an ending at all, really. Just a beginning. The end. Thank you so much for watching. You Can't Be the Father. What an incredible journey from betrayal to triumph. If this story moved you, touched your heart, or made you believe in second chances, please smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more powerful African stories of resilience and revenge. Drop a comment below and tell us, what was your favorite moment in Chioma's journey? Would you have forgiven Adiz? Could you have trusted Chitty? And most importantly, where are you watching from? We love hearing from our global family. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that it's possible to rebuild after devastation, that betrayal doesn't define you, and that sometimes losing everything is the first step toward finding what truly matters. Turn on those post notifications so you never miss our next dramatic story. We have more tales of love, betrayal, revenge, and redemption coming soon. Until next time, remember, you are stronger than your circumstances, braver than your fears, and capable of building beauty from ashes. Stay blessed, stay strong, and keep fighting for your truth. See you in the next story. Flex biceps, medium dark skin tone, red heart, fire. Retriclod can make mistakes. Please double check responses.